all people of the world should be in a good situation, should be prosperous. But how do you become prosperous? Sustainably. According to our experience, the only way you can guarantee prosperity sustainably is to enable all families, all persons who are old enough to participate in wealth creation by producing goods or services, either as an entrepreneur or as an employee of that enterprise. The population, all adults participating in the production of goods and services. And here we can cooperate with the countries of the South. We can cooperate in production of goods and services. Here in Uganda, we have experience. We have been working with some friends, like for instance from China. They have come and invested in a number of factories. I don't know whether these people have some footage they can show us. Those are some of the factories by our Chinese friends. That is an industrial park by with our Chinese friends in the east of Uganda, a place called Mbare. Behind there you see the Mount Elgon. Now that is one of the industrial parks. They are producing so many products there. Goods, producing goods, textiles, computers, what have you. So you can show other, do you have other slides of the production? That is, those are friends, anyway, thank you so much. Those are friends from, okay, that's another industrial park with our Chinese friends. Another one, this is not different from the other one. The other one is in the east. This is to the north of Kampala. Producing goods of all types. Okay, thank you very much. Now, those are partners from China producing goods. But we also got partners from Indonesia who came to help us with palm oil. Palm oil, indigenous crop of Africa, but our friends in Malaysia and Indonesia took it up and made it more commercial. So here, we are importing all palm oil products, which we need for making soap, for making so many other things. But people from Indonesia came some years ago, and we gave them land. You can see what they have done there. We have not fully finished our demand, achieving our demand for palm oil, but we have gone some distance. So this is how the group here can cooperate on the issue of producing goods and services. But countries like Uganda are easy to move forward because we have the indigenous, our ancient production regime, which we have now modernized for the purpose of the market. If you can show us some of those things, our indigenous production, that's coffee. This part of the world is the home of coffee. Those are bananas. Uganda I think, is the second biggest producer of bananas in the whole world. Those are bananas in the villages. That is, coffee, bananas. Those are indigenous cattle, our ancient cattle. Now, this is the indigenous knowledge which we have kept and we are now modernizing. So when we get friends from this grouping and we team up with them, you didn't show fish. Where is fish? If you have fish, show it. Because it's part of the... Those are the fish of the Nile. That's called the Nile perch. So this is the part of the indigenous. They have got so many other products. Part of the indigenous production regime, which we are now merging into the modern system. So therefore, in my view, area number one is the area of cooperating in producing goods and services. Now, area number two, if you produce a good or a service, as I told you the other day, then the next issue is who buys what you have produced. We have the internal market of Uganda here. Here in Africa, we are working on the regional markets of East Africa, of the whole of Africa. We are working on them. All the African leaders are working on that. But we also want trade links with our other brothers from NAM and from the group of 77. That will be the other area where we cooperate. They buy from us and we buy from them. That will push prosperity of all of us. We have been buying a lot of goods from China, buying a lot of goods from India. We used to buy a lot of goods from Dubai. Before that, we were buying goods from UK. In the colonial times, I remember we had a textile known as Marekani. Marekani, that meant American. We were putting it on in the 1950s. Marekani. Then we had another one called Japan, meaning it came from Japan. So all these decades, I've been watching the pockets of Ugandans supporting prosperity of other people. When I buy what you produce, I am supporting your prosperity. And when you buy what I produce, you are supporting my prosperity. Africa has been supporting the prosperity of others for a long time. So this group can help us to balance that contribution to our respective prosperities. Buying from, I buy from you, you buy from me. Now finally, you must be able to link the producer of the good and service and the consumer. So now that leads us to infrastructure. Infrastructure, because you cannot link the consumer with the buyer if you don't have infrastructure in the form of electricity, form of transport, roads, the railway. And again here, we have been cooperating with some of the friends, like with China, for instance. That is a dam, a brand new dam. This is Simba or what? Show the description. Which one is this one? Don't have a description there. Anyway, there are two new power dams, this one and another one, with a total production of about 900 megawatts. One is 183 megawatts, another one is 650 megawatts. And we had also done some other smaller dams with the people from Sri Lanka. So you can see how this grouping is not as simple as it looks. If we work together, there isn't anything you cannot achieve. I've just quoted a few examples, but there are so many of them. Cooperation with Cuba, who were able, with the late Fidel Castro, he was able to help us build a new medical school, which is somewhere big. It's now a big medical school, by bringing in Cuban doctors to treat people, but also to teach our own people. So there's so much we can do together. So therefore, in the 1 year which you have entrusted me to head the organization, I will push those 3 points: production of goods and services, how to encourage that interlinkage, dealing with the issue of markets, and then the issue of the infrastructure. But this assumes that we have peace among ourselves, which is another issue. Because if we don't have peace, then we shall not achieve this. So I will have to be in touch with some of the brothers and sisters who have got tensions or even conflict, to see how win-win solutions can be found. So I'm very happy on behalf of Uganda to have welcomed you here, and I thank you so much for being patient and staying for up to the end. And it is now my pleasure to declare the Group of 77 Summit and the South Summit closed. Thank you very much.
Our future in thy hand. Hilary. Kasuka ka flash. Ka flash kali ku PC.
Eh? Check mic, check mic, check mic. Microphone check 1 2, check microphone 1 2. Eh? Hey. The DJ, Lydia, eh? Lydia. Welcome back to the Rwenzori Convention Center. All that starts well ends well, as you see people at the back there taking photos of the G77 and the South Summit. This has been the third of its kind in Uganda. All that starts well ends well, as you see people at the back there taking photos in memory of the G77 plus China Summit, the South Summit, the third of its kind, the first to have twin summits in Uganda. The non-aligned movement ended. We got into the G77 summit, which happened today. And the president has just concluded it just a few minutes ago, about 10 or so minutes there, that he has been able to end it. But let me give you a few of the highlights of the G77 summit that started yesterday and was officially ended today, and was ended by the president, who officially becomes the chairman of the non-aligned movement for the next 3 years, but also becomes the chairman of the G77 summit for the next 1 year there. Let me give you a bit there. The president of the United Nations came out and spoke about how there is need for transformation and leave statistics alone. He needs to see tangible transformation in the states that are part of the G77 summit there. He also said we need to build trust, we need to build peace, and also prosperity for everyone else. So that's where the persistence was. We also saw the UN Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez, who was also here, who also mentioned things about creating the Global South, which has 80% of the population, to create stability, peace for all, but also leaving no one behind. He also talked about the commitment and also a mass movement to disrupt our supply there, because the South has grown in what its exports and imports are, especially looking at it right now. He also said there is hope for the G77 summit, especially looking at the summit of the future come the UN summit General Assembly that will be happening in September of this year, and we'll be there giving it to you live. He also said unity in climate change, to have common responsibility among them. He also went on to say that some of these will be taken on into the COP29 that will be happening in Azerbaijan, looking at that and looking at how it will be there. He says mineral distribution should be fair, technology needs to be embraced. We also looked at China, talking about financing and talking about how financing is very important in this session. They also went on to talk about how the reforms need to affect global architects of financing, and we also need to be able to look further and see how Africa gets a seat on the table of the UN Security Council. The president came out today, before I get there, and said about 3 things. A better future for everyone. We need high quality engagements, but also reforms for governance of the UN, because it was formed 60+ years ago during the Second World War. Is it still as relevant right now? And it needs to deal with the challenges of the times right now. The president came on to show different facets of what's happening, that infrastructure is very important, even a country has to develop, but he also talked about trade. He talked about trade and said the elements that need to grow, that people need to trade with Uganda, and gave examples of countries like Indonesia, like China, that came along to be able to trade with them. And he goes ahead to tell them that, you know what, this trade is very important for all of us as countries, but also not just trade. We need to be able to have investment in these countries, things that are sustainable for every one of us. But from the team here, the technical team that has made sure that everything goes well, because we have been here at Munyonyo, we've been at Entebbe, we have made sure that every facet of a leader that has come in has come in. NAM hosted 120 countries in country there. We also had many presidents here that came in for the G77 summit, and a lot of discussions. We are now digging our heels in to ask the questions. At what point does the Kampala Declaration become reasonable or permeate down to translate into just not Kampala, but the states that are part of this? How do we see the 2 outcomes that came from the political committee and the economic and social committees permeate down to the countries that are there? Will there be an administrative arm that will ensure all these translate down? What will be the legacy of Uganda in 3 years or in 1 year of the G77 summit? Will the reforms get us the money to get production and infrastructure in place? Those are the questions we leave to the leaders, and we want to see what happens there. But from us to you here at Rwenzori, God bless you, and we hand you back to Lydia. My name is Timothy Nyangweso.